Now that everything is installed, VS Code, GitHub, SQL 2022, Docker, SSMS. Let's start debugging PHP Laravel with Docker. I open the terminal to run Docker or Git commands. I expect this to work because developers usually have administrator rights in their development environment. First, run this command to set up Git for Linux-style line endings. Assuming you have Git for Windows, copy the command from my GitHub page and paste it into the terminal. This will automatically copy all my Docker setting files to your PC. If your MSSQL is newly installed, you need to enable TCP/IP in SQL Configuration Manager. Remember to allow all network connections and the port connection, as this is off by default. In the SQL admin screen, enable TCP/IP and allow all connections. Remember to restart the MSSQL server for the changes to take effect. In SQL Server Network Configuration, select Protocols and enable TCP/IP for your instance. This is disabled on new installs and must be on for Docker to connect to the MSSQL server. Remember to restart the MSSQL service. Next, we configure firewall settings. To configure the firewall, type wf-link to .msc in the run box to open the console. In the admin console, create a new inbound rule to allow all connections to port 1433. Name the connection MSSQL, so your Docker container can talk to the host computer. The firewall is now set up. Next, download the link to .back file from the website link on my GitHub page. Then, use SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS, to restore the database. Restoring the database is easy. Right-click, Databases, and select Restore. Choose the downloaded link to .back file by selecting Device. The interface will show the backup data and database name. If the database doesn't exist, the system will create a new one. Now, go back to Docker. Copy the link from my GitHub page. This command will automatically pull my Docker image from Docker Hub to your PC and build your Docker container. Type Docker PSA to check that the container is running. Make sure you don't already have a container named Ubuntu. If you do, I recommend changing the name in the compose YAML file. Next, you need to run the post-install script inside the VS Code dev console. This script will set up PHP debugging, assuming you have the necessary PHP extensions installed on your PC. Once the dev console extension is installed, you will find your Docker container listed in the Remote Explorer. Click Attach to New Window to open a new VS Code instance. This gives you a bash terminal and lets you debug PHP without needing to install PHP, Xdebug, or the ODBC driver directly on your Windows PC. Next, select Open Folder. Choose the web folder in the Linux structure, which is var www html restapi. I suggest using this as your workspace. Now, run the link to postinstall.sh script in the dev console. This script is located at and is connected to your local drive. It will download my MySQL database and extract it to USR local MySQL, which has a symbolic link to the data. Since the data folder is persistent, this setup lets you quickly deploy a new MySQL instance without starting from scratch, and you keep your data even if the container is rebuilt. The script also extracts the Laravel vendor folder. While you can run Composer Update to refresh the vendors, I've kept it as an option. The current, frozen version is ready and working. Next, type netstat tulpan to check which services are running and listening on the correct port addresses. This MySQL setup is optional, but common for Linux developers. Use Pico to comment out the process ID line. The ID changes when a new container is deployed, which causes errors. Once this is updated, you won't need to do it again on reboot. Start the service by typing, etc. init d MySQL d start. You can see the new process ID on the screen. Paste it back into the mylink to .cnf file and restart MySQL. After the service restarts, type netstat tulpan to check if the MySQL service is running. When you see port 3306 listed, MySQL is working perfectly in Docker. You can connect to it from your network using port 3307, as defined in the compose YAML file. Next, run. This script includes a config clear command to check your connections. Remember to update the link to .env file and config link to .php with your SQL password, or the SA password. These files are easy to find. If everything is running, VS Code will prompt you to open the browser for debugging, even before the extension is fully set up. Note, I forgot to edit in this video to comment out the MySQL startup. The default password is mypass. I will fix this on GitHub later. You should now see port 8000 running in the dev console. This port acts as a NAT, network address translation, to forward traffic from the container's Linux environment to your host computer, even if it's not explicitly mapped in the YAML file. The default page is PHP info, where you can see all installed PHP modules. Next, go to API, test to ensure your API link to .php root works. Then, use Postman to test the login API in the JWT bearer token. You can easily reuse this Docker image for local development projects that need to connect to either MySQL or MSSQL. Next, let's start debugging in VS Code. Press F5 or select Run, then Start Debugging. VS Code will prompt you to install the PHP debug extension inside your container. Once it's installed, all your breakpoints will work, allowing you to step through the script. This example script is very simple, but it proves the PHP debugging environment works. Now, focus on the API link to .php file. This file is the starting point for requests to your controller. Add a breakpoint here so the debugger stops on every request. You can then choose to step over or continue to the next breakpoint. The script will generate an access token and a refresh token. I know sending the refresh token as plain text isn't ideal. I'll show how to use HTTP-only cookies in a later video. For now, copy the access token from the script output and paste it into the Postman collection header as the bearer token. The system then uses this token to verify your login credentials. That's how JWT bearer tokens work. That's it for the video. I hope this helps you start using my Docker image.